I did my CAD 3 research project on magnet coppers and coils and how they can be used to generate electricity. My research question was, can electricity be harnessed from that generated through copper coil magnet arrays? I identified that there was a problem with electricity generation, and I wanted to create a sort of handheld electromagnetic energy harvester, which can be used to harvest the milliwatts of power from magnets powered with copper coil. It's an example of magnet array, and aligned in a coil would maximize the magnetic flux chains. It's suspended by a magnetic spring for a resonant frequency of several hertz. It's stabilized horizontally by graphite sheets for reducing the friction. An analytical model of vibration-driven energy harvester with magnetic spring through magnetic and coil arrays is developed to explore the power generation from vibrations at low frequency and large amplitude. These were my key phases of my project. At first, I believed that this was possible, that you could harness electricity generated by a magnet coil array. Again, I assumed that it was possible. I researched it with limited access to my sources because they were all not very accessible and published well. Significance, I was looking to, in a way, revolutionize the electricity industry, and I concluded that my hypothesis was actually inaccurate given the fact of the law of conservation of energy. Now, what is the law of conservation? The first law of thermodynamics is a simple rule that makes itself familiar in various sciences. It is the most fundamental principle in the field of thermodynamics, which states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, and I was trying to create energy from nothing, essentially. So it can only be transformed in a different form. This law is crucial and has many implications for the behavior of the systems and processes in the natural world and has been a catalyst for several scientific phenomena. Again, it's just energy cannot change forms, it can't be created or destroyed, which made my hypothesis inaccurate. My original research. The only problem with my citations and websites that I used as I could not access any of the research, only a brief summary of what the research website gave me. So I noted that all of my articles were claimed to be proven, yet I cannot access the results on any of them myself. So I had to pretty much think of a way to innovate and create my own type of research. So my research methods that I used, obviously I did experimentation for my project. Statistics, I tried to find statistics, but again my sources were not able to be accessed. And analysis, I just really wish I would have taken into account the law of thermodynamics before I started a physics-based project. Here are my initial experiments. I'll break them down one by one. This is my first experiment. I arranged copper wire in first a spring formation and then this kind of U-like formation with a battery facing the negative terminal. I put a magnet right there on the bottom of the battery to act as a negative terminal, like a kind of receiver. So this would generate a kind of magnetic field that would cause the copper wire to flux and then spin around the battery. This would go forever, considering until the battery would die. My second experiment was a little bit more. It's a little bit more of an advanced version of the first one. I used 2 paper clips and taped them to the sides of a D battery. Again, the copper wire would spin until the battery would run out of power. The only problem with this one was that the paper clips got extremely hot and sometimes burned the tape that it was used to stick to the battery. So the first 2 motors are possible with something known as the Lorentz force. It's a magnetic field generated by the electric current flowing with the magnetic field created by the south pole magnet of the motor. So here it would be the magnet at the bottom. And this is relevant to like how Earth spins, because the north and south pole in a way are kind of like our magnets, which create a magnetic field which causes Earth to continuously spin, and without it we wouldn't have day and night pretty much. This is my experiment 3. This is what enlightened me and told me that this whole thing was like not even possible. So I followed a very skeptical YouTube tutorial on how to make a kind of motor to generate power from actually nothing. So I ended up making a type of motor with a CD, a bunch of magnets, and a wooden plank, hoping that the magnets would power itself to power the motor that's inside right there. But when I finished the project and tried to start it, I realized that the YouTuber had put a battery under the wooden plank to make it appear that it was possible. And then I went into further research to see why this wasn't possible. And that's when I found the first law of thermodynamics. Here are my limitations. I had like very little statistics, no data. My major flaw was I just completely forgot to apply the laws of physics before doing this. And that's pretty much all of my limitations. In conclusion, my experiment was very unsuccessful, but that doesn't mean that my research was for nothing. Hence, I would like to suggest a few other areas of focus. In the future, I believe that there are several areas that should be researched in the electricity industry. One of the key issues is the development of more efficient and sustainable energy sources. This includes exploring technologies for like sustainable electricity generation, as well as advancing energy storage solutions to make these much more reliable. Additionally, there's a need to improve the infrastructure of the electrical grid to build its resiliency and flexibility. So in the future, I just offer a couple of innovations that I could look into in the future. So one I picked just for like sustainable energy, like wind, solar, and hydroelectric. I picked one innovation that I thought of for hydroelectric, which would be to create a sort of smart turbine that could gather data for the people who work in the hydroelectric dams. This could easily inform the workers on water flow rate, turbine speed, temperature, and vibration. And this would just be to maximize efficiency and calculate like amount of electricity generated. And one innovation I thought of for an electrical grid was just improvement of the grid, like a type of energy storage to store the excess energy, to like create some sort of battery that the excess electricity could go to, so you could just not waste anything. And that's my presentation.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, another couple questions. So obviously, yeah, it was. I'm glad you said that it was not for nothing. That you actually did come to a conclusion with the research, and you got. It sounds like you were enlightened by the results.
Yeah.
If just moving forward, like, would this be an area for further exploration
in terms of?
Yeah, like in terms of energy, like, are you more encouraged to pursue energy as a form of conservation, sustainability for the future? Now that we know that one way that doesn't work, but would that allow you to keep going for the future?
Well, of course, because electricity is in cars. We see it in cars now. It's going to be much more prevalent in the future. I just feel that this project kind of like inspired me to look at more sustainable, which is definitely more important than just stuff that pollutes Earth, and just to take that non-pollution route.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Okay. Sounds good.